Something unprecedented is happening across America right now, from California to Michigan, from courtrooms to state capitals. The establishment's in full-blown panic mode. What exactly is President Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, nicknamed DOGE, doing that has powerful interests so terrified? Why is Governor Gavin Newsom suddenly filing lawsuits to protect the AmeriCorps program? And what are these community organizations so desperate to maintain, and why are they collapsing without taxpayer funding? Why are Michigan Democrats staging emotional testimonials from federal workers claiming the sky will fall if bureaucracy is cut? And most tellingly, why is an activist judge in Baltimore blocking access to Social Security data that could streamline the system and eliminate waste? Well, tonight we expose the coordinated meltdown happening across the political establishment as the administrative state faces its greatest existential threat in modern history. When the swamp screams this loudly, you know Trump is right over the target. And as Trump's efficiency department fights government waste, Americans face skyrocketing energy bills with no relief in sight. While bureaucrats protect their bloated budgets, this revolutionary device helps slash your energy costs. It works by stabilizing electrical currents, by reducing dirty electricity, bringing your efficiency to your home that Washington elites try to deny the country. Tens of thousands have already installed this simple plug-in solution, with countless five-star reviews confirming dramatic savings. Order now to receive 65% off fast shipping and a 60-day guarantee. Visit don'twastepower.com before supplies run out and stop paying the power companies inflated rates. Linked below. All right, Patriots, the deep state's in full panic mode. President Trump's Department of Government Efficiency slashing bloated bureaucracy, swamp creatures screaming as taxpayer-funded gravy train derails. The establishment will do anything to stop Trump from draining the swamp. Yes, Gavin Newsom is panicking as Trump downsizes the federal agencies. Thousands of so-called volunteers cut from bloated AmeriCorps program that funneled millions of your tax dollars to leftist organizations. California desperately trying to recreate the program at the state level.
Part of an ongoing... New at 11, Governor Newsom says California is filing yet another lawsuit against the Trump administration, this time over DOGE's dismantling of the AmeriCorps service program. Thousands of the volunteers who respond to disasters and help with community projects were laid off this week. It's part of an ongoing effort to downsize federal agencies. Governor Newsom says his administration will accelerate recruitment of the California Service Corps program to make up for the cuts.
Okay, Gavin, sure. Keep crying, and we'll keep laughing. Unhinged activists melting down as the Trump efficiency cuts target their funding. We're not going anywhere, they scream while demanding hands-off government money. Listen.
Friend Kelly Robinson.
Michigan Democrats staging propaganda shows with former federal workers using emotional manipulation to attack Trump's efficiency efforts, claiming weather won't be monitored and children will die if we cut bureaucracy. Here's CBS News.
Yeah, straight from the people.
Michiganders who've been caught up in the Trump administration's slashing of the federal government told their stories today.
Michigan lawmakers are learning how the DOGE job cuts are hurting the area, straight from the people who are actually looking for work.
CBS News Detroit's Jack Springate listened into the special hearing at the Capitol, and he joins us now in studio to unveil some of the negative impacts that are already happening. Jack, what did you hear today?
Well, these workers not only painted a picture of how their lives have been turned upside down by these federal layoffs, but also how these firings have already led to death and destruction in our state. Nicole Rice says we won't be able to prepare for serious weather like the ice storms in northern Michigan and monitor future concerns like industry-threatening algae blooms with a void left behind by thousands of laid-off workers like her at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Its loss would be an enormous blow to drinking water safety, climate resilience, maritime safety, invasive species control, and international treaty compliance with Canada.
Leslie Desmond says Tatiana Williams would have gotten the help she needed to save her 2 children who died from carbon monoxide poisoning while parked in a casino parking lot had these job cuts not created chaos in the Department of Housing and Urban Planning, where she's currently on indefinite leave.
Their mother had called and had asked for emergency relief, had went through the right channels looking for help. But because of chaotic government cuts and of inefficiencies, we failed them.
We covered the layoffs to VA employees in Ann Arbor as they happened in February. While many of them have been reinstated, mostly by legal pressure, Andrew Lennox is still bracing that each day could be his last. He shared an interaction with a fellow employee the first time he learned about these layoffs.
When I had to turn in my government laptop, our IT guy shook his head and he said, "Man, I'm sorry, I voted for this, but I didn't think it'd affect people like you."
Now, Democratic and Republican lawmakers both heard these accounts today. They'll be using these stories to find ways to fill the gaps left behind by these federal workers, whether that be creating state-funded positions or a new strategy that's yet to be seen. I'll be back at 6, but for now, I'll send it back to you two at the desk.
And they can always learn to code, though, right? An activist judge in Baltimore blocking efficiency reforms in Social Security, claiming Trump's team needs to explain why they need access to the very data necessary to streamline the system.
At least for now. Elon Musk's access to Social Security systems through his Department of Government Efficiency remains limited, at least for now. A district court judge issued a preliminary injunction that extends previous restrictions on DOGE's access to Social Security data. The judge said the Trump administration hasn't made clear why it needs unfettered access to the private data. The injunction sets a stage for the case to be appealed.
Keep appealing. And we got some more media propaganda working overtime, showcasing Pine Island AmeriCorps workers sent home while ignoring the millions wasted on this program yearly. And notice, watch, they only interview people upset about the cuts.
And Ian, AmeriCorps provides disaster relief around the country. But this week, DOGE cut their funding. I'm Pine Island community correspondent Bella Line, and for months they've been out on Pine Island helping with the recovery relief from Helene, Milton, and Ian. Well, now it's up to people who live on the island to finish those projects.
Work continues to rebuild here on Pine Island, but with less manpower.
They can help and do a lot of the so-called grunt work.
Eric Whiteman, a volunteer with the Greater Pine Island Alliance, told me that for a couple of months, a group of AmeriCorps volunteers from around the country were on Pine Island to help rebuild. Until
Tuesday early, we're having a dinner. By Tuesday afternoon, they're being sent home. Wednesday, they were gone.
The Department of Government Efficiency, which has been working to get rid of government waste, completely cut AmeriCorps' funding. According to the Associated Press, AmeriCorps volunteers have served 8 million service hours since 1999. Much of that service was for natural disaster recovery. Just last week, I was out on Pine Island with an AmeriCorps group. Thursday, I spoke with 2 AmeriCorps volunteers who were on their way back to Iowa. They said they didn't want to give their names.
It almost felt like a rug was pulled from under us.
They say they were shocked at how quickly their work was stopped.
We decided to put our lives on hold for 11 months to strengthen American communities.
One volunteer told me they might...
Oh, wait, I've got a great idea. How about you take your life off hold and go back to your life? Okay? Let the people figure out the solutions. Maybe actually, like, people will go to work and maybe people get paid. Maybe the economy will strengthen because you got contractors out there doing the work. Wow. What an idea.
Have to go to a shelter until they figure out what to do next.
As much as we're thinking about where we're going to go and what we're going to do, it was really disheartening to not be able to finish that.
Now projects like this house are left for island volunteers to pick up.
So it's kind of put us in that quandary of how to finish these jobs so that these survivors can get back to normal living.
Reporting on Pine Island.
How to finish the jobs. Oh, man. This is the battle we've been waiting for. The entire swamp, Democrat governors, activists, judges, federal bureaucrats, mainstream media, all united to stop Trump from cutting wasteful spending. When they scream this loud, you know he is over the target. Michelle Maxwell posting this. She's saying, thank God for DOGE.
It's because of the information that's coming out of the Department of Government Efficiency. Today, Elon Musk and DOGE released the information that there are now over 160,000 federal employees that they think are millionaires. When Joe Biden got into office in 2021, there were only about 70,000. But in just 4 years' time, that number more than doubled. They said by September of 2024, there were 155,334 millionaires, more than double millionaires in 4 years.
That's amazing. This is Misty J. Baker. And Misty, would you maybe just tilt the camera down a little bit and, work on the captioning? I mean, from a production standpoint, I think you could do a little bit better. I appreciate what you're saying, but, I mean, come on.
And then by now they're assuming or estimating it to be about 160,000 millionaires. As a taxpayer, I want to know how it happened and why did it happen. The average salary for a federal employee is only $86,000. How do you take $86,000 and then all of a sudden you become a millionaire? And that many people to become millionaires, do you know how odd that is and how almost impossible that is? The highest paid people in the federal government are people that work in what they call the medical officers. And those people only make about over 200,000. So you're talking about the medical offices and then people in cybersecurity. They all average about $250,000 or $260,000 a year. But now, in just a 4-year period of time, we are supposed to believe that they had an extra, over 70,000, 80,000, people that became millionaires that work for the federal government.
That's crazy. Here's Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene 24 hours ago. There's nothing more important we can do for you as Americans to protect your Social Security.
Sarah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Why is MTG supporting Musk and DOGE and the slashing of Medicaid, Social Security offices, libraries, and more? This is outrageous from Sarah. Well, Sarah, unfortunately, you're being brainwashed by the news that you're watching. And, a lot of Democrats pride themselves on being educated, and I suggest they educate themselves better. Because I showed you a video in the beginning. I wish you could have seen the whole clip of Barack Obama literally talking about what we call today DOGE. And so, Sarah, if you supported Barack Obama as your president, which I'm sure you did, then I'm sure you support Elon Musk and DOGE as well. Now, as far as Medicaid, Social Security, libraries, and more, what we're doing is we're removing waste, fraud, and abuse, and there's nothing more important we can do for you as Americans to protect your Social Security than get rid of the criminals that are stealing it. We have to make sure that we protect Social Security. We're not cutting Social Security. We're not cutting Medicare. This was a promise from President Trump and Republicans like myself on the campaign trail, and we will live up to that promise, and no one has lost their benefits. Okay.
Yeah, despite what the media will have you believe, right? President Trump, acting commissioner, is out at the IRS just 2 days after his appointment was announced. NBC News confirms Gary Shapley, acting commissioner of the IRS, is being replaced after Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent approached Trump to say he was appointed without his knowledge at Elon Musk's direction. Nicole Perlroth, I don't care what your politics are. Every American needs to read this entire thread. DOGE went in, data came out, Russians started logging in with valid DOGE passwords. In 15 minutes, either Russia had access to DOGE devices or someone gave them access. A federal whistleblower dropping one of the most disturbing cyber security disclosures ever read. The media coverage wasn't detailed enough, so we dug into the testimony. Who's the whistleblower? Daniel Barulis, a senior DevSecOps architect, National Labor Relations Board, formerly TS-SCI clearance, told Congress the Department of Government officially pulled off a covert cyber op inside a federal agency. DOGE demanded root access, not auditor, not admin. They were given tenant owner privileges in Azure, full control over the NLB cloud, or the CIO himself. This is not supposed to happen. They disabled logs, says DOGE demanded account creation with no record keeping, even ordered security controls, bypass and disabled tools like Network Watcher so the actions would not be logged. And then data started flowing out. 10 gigabyte spike in outbound traffic. Exfiltration, next gen, NLRB legal case database, no corresponding inbound, unusual ephemeral containers, and expired storage tokens. Wow. Not sure what that's about. We're going to have to find out even more. But we do have this from a judge blocking DOGE from Social Security data access. A federal judge hitting pause 14 hours ago, stopping it from accessing Social Security data to fight fraud because apparently fixing government is just too efficient. DOGE now has to delete non-anonymized data and undo smart code upgrades and jump through bureaucratic hoops to even glance at redacted records because DOGE dared to modernize how fraud is caught. Busy night for the courts. Late last night, a federal judge issued a preliminary injunction barring DOGE's access to Social Security data. So what we're witnessing is not just budget reform, it's a fundamental battle for America's future. For decades, the administrative state has operated with virtually no accountability, growing larger, more powerful, and more disconnected from the will of the people. Now, as DOGE begins methodically streamlining government, every stakeholder in the bloated system's fighting back with everything they have. The media shows tearful AmeriCorps workers, but never questions the program's effectiveness. Judges blocking access to the very data needed to improve services. Governors creating state-level programs to maintain control even as federal funding disappears. And DOGE digging deeper and deeper with root access into the systems to purge it, and they're screaming about it. So the pattern's unmistakable and revealing. This isn't about essential services or vulnerable communities. It's about power and control and a bureaucratic machine desperate to preserve itself at all costs. So here's the critical question every taxpaying American should be asking tonight, and you can weigh in the comments. If these programs truly help people, why do they collapse the moment government funding stops? And if they need constant funding to survive, are they actually sustainable solutions or just permanent dependencies? I can't wait to see your reaction. And show your support for government efficiency with our MAGA Avengers collection at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com featuring Elon Musk and Ron Paul, linked below.